Good morning to our viewers here in Nigeria and those watching us online. Welcome to a brand new edition of Breakfast Central. We hope that you, of course, enjoy the next 2 hours with us as we go through some of the major stories making headlines across Nigeria. I am Osaogi Ogbon.
And I am Olive Emodi, welcoming you to another edition of Breakfast Central. We hope you've had a good second day back at work or a good first day at work. Yesterday, a number of us returned back to work after the holiday. A number of us, excluding those of us on TV here because we're here all through the holiday. But we hope that you're settling right well into into your routine, your work routine, and you're excited about the rest of the week. It's almost the end of the week. We're going to be looking at some of the top stories that we have this morning. But we're joined by Mazino Appeal, who brings us breakfast headlines. Good morning, Mazino. Good to have you here.
Good morning to you, Imordi, and good morning to you, Osa. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, Mazino, very interesting updates that we're seeing before we get into the political space. Rumor
Well, I'm
has
very
it
sorry,
that
I really
Nigeria
can't
is set
hear
to
you.
send its first citizen to space. Is that something you'd be excited to go on?
My apologies, Imordi. I really can't hear you.
Okay.
I only just heard that you were talking about something about an update. I'm wondering from which of the updates are you talking about? Perhaps maybe the Kanu one or maybe the River State one. There's so many updates today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we'll probably just have that quick conversation here before we bring in Mazino again. The news story about Nigerian government planning to send one Nigerian to space. What are you
citizen.
not excited about?
Well, interestingly, I think that I count myself to be one of the most adventurous humans that I know. I would be excited to do the unthinkable. The only thing my adventure hasn't pushed me to do is bungee jumping. I don't know if I'll do that, but I love anything that triggers adrenaline. But this one, my adrenaline and love for adventure is not going to power it. Because
Yeah, why?
if you go, what are the chances that you will come back? I'm still a very young woman. That's not. Why do I mean, I know people say, why do you want to go? But it's something that happens with people that love adventure and love experiences. It's like asking someone, why do you want to jump out of a plane? Or why are you going on all these very crazy rides at the what do they call them? The parks, the amusement parks. There's something. If you don't understand it, you don't understand it. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. So I'm not going to judge anybody who says they want to volunteer to go to space. It's something in another country maybe I typically would be excited about, but no.
Yeah.
I'm not doing
But
it.
I think, it was a catchy headline. I don't think it's exactly the way that it is being described. There is the Nigerian Space Research and Development Agency, but I don't think they're on the level where they can actually fly a rocket, to space. But what is happening here is that the Nigerian government is, meant to select one Nigerian on a mission with an agency called the Space Exploration and Research Agency. It's an American agency that is, making plans to go to space. So a Nigerian is meant to be selected to be on that mission, to be the first Nigerian to go to space. That's exactly
A
what it
record
is.
break. I mean, we've been breaking a lot of records with the Guinness World Record. It's become our thing. So I'm certain that there are many people that will be interested in it. It's just
Yeah,
not
I mean,
my
it
cup of
doesn't sound like a bad idea. I wouldn't mind, being on that. The
I
point
wouldn't
is,
mind.
I think the difference is, if it is going to be run by the Nigerian Exploration, and Space Agency, maybe a lot of people would have second thoughts. What if they want to, take that risk, because it's expected that a lot of Nigerians do not trust. I mean, we're still struggling with getting our trains to work effectively, without derailing every other month. And these are trains that we set up with, billions and billions and billions of naira. So there is that lack of trust, that the Nigerian government will be able to do it. And we've not actually had any, aside the one that we're trying to send people, we've not had any, successful space exploration attempts, in the past. So, nobody's trying to take that risk. But because this one is being done by an American agency that, has a long history of space exploration, then of course, I would absolutely love to. I don't think it's anything that risky. I mean, you go.
When you go and come back, and a number of you have gone and come back, then I can look towards going.
Yeah, but there are people are going to space almost every other week.
I know.
Elon Musk, SpaceX.
I'm
has
talking
its-
of Nigerians, the ones that are doing in collaboration with Nigerians.
I think village people.
Where exactly? You people should go first and come back. And when you've gone and come back, a number of you, and I've seen how beautiful it is, your experiences with them motivates me. Let's bring in Mazino and ask him if it's something that he'll be excited about doing. Mazino, would you be willing to go to space?
Well, I caught wind of your conversation there. Yes, I would be, but again, you know me already. I'm adventurous like that. However,
I know you are.
I don't want to put the wrench inside of the works here, but do you guys remember that we used to have a satellite? Do you remember we actually lost the satellite?
Yeah.
So in terms of confidence, how much confidence does that give you? It's a great thing. I can't wait for the first Nigerian to be in space. But then again, yeah, I would attend to that with some, you know what, nervousness.
Yeah, well, launching a satellite is a different thing, you know, from going to space, you know, and coming back successfully. I don't honestly, and I'm sure that even the people in the Nigerian agency do not believe that we're there yet. You know, so we would not, you know, be the ones to fly anyone to space. Like I said, you know, it is an American agency, the Space Exploration and Research Agency, that is, you know, taking this journey to space. And a Nigerian is going to be nominated by the federal government to be part of the journey. So if it is the Nigerian agency, many people would have their fears and their doubts, and I don't think a lot of people would be wanting, you know, to, you know, simply lean on the fact that, well, we've launched one satellite or the other in the past, you know, as enough reason for you to, you know, entrust your life in a Nigerian space agency. That's my point. You know, you can't blame anybody who feels that way, honestly.
No. All right. Well, I'm just wondering, all I'm thinking about is whoever goes to space, when the person is coming back, are they going to have like music playing? You know that song that says, oh, I'm from outer space.
Which music would that be?
I'm from outer space. I got music. That Jericho song by Inca. Oh, you don't know the song I'm talking about?
No.
The song that says, when I move is an earthquake crumble. Nah,
Keep going.
Guys, nah. Oh no, don't do this. Anyway.
Maybe you're not singing it well.
Maybe you're not singing it well.
You know the song.
No, sing it better.
I'll tell you
I've lost
something.
my voice, that's why I can't sing as well as I should sing. But as a lady, even if I can't sing the song, so I know you're putting me on the spot because you want to.
You started it now, so sing the song.
No, it said something like, oh, I'm from outer space.
I know the one you're talking about.
Exactly. Thank you.
I know the one you're talking
just
about
ignore
now.
him.
Yeah.
He's just trying to put me on the spot, and I've lost my voice. Unfortunately, I was in the recording studio with Tiwa and Thames, and you know it's just been a lot of back-to-back recordings. So I need my voice to catch a break.
Wow.
But
All right. Anyway, we have a lot to talk about today. There's obvious more drama in Rivers State. Of course, we're going to be bringing you updates with regards to that, and also updates with regards to cholera. Remember, by 8 a.m. this morning, we have the news paper front pages we're going to be sharing with you. But let's quickly share with you what our top stories are. And right after that, we have Mazino Appeal giving you breakfast headlines. This morning in Edo State, the PDP dismisses Philip Shu, Dan Obi over anti-party activities. And also APC demands state of emergency in Rivers State with the ongoing crisis in the state. Nnamdi Kanu seeks out-of-court settlement with the federal government. That's one of the latest stories from his trial. And also in South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa begins his second tenure as president with bits of controversy yesterday. The newspaper front page is also coming your way this morning. What are the major stories making headlines across Nigeria? But first of all, breakfast headlines.
Morning and welcome to Breakfast Headlines. My name is Mazino Appeal. First off, let's begin in West Africa, Nigeria, where the political crisis in Rivers State over the local government administration tussle seems to be relaxing following the swearing in of caretaker committee chairman for the 23 local government councils of the state by the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara. The swearing-in ceremony was performed at the Executive Council Chambers of Government House in Port Harcourt Wednesday morning amidst tight security. This is sequel to their screening and confirmation by the State House of Assembly at its sitting same day. Governor Fubara had sent the names for screening and confirmation on Tuesday following the expiration of the local government chairman's tenure on June 17, 2024. In the meantime, Governor Fubara has ordered the audit of the accounts of the 23 local government areas for the past 3 years. He gave the order to the Auditor General of the state on Wednesday while swearing in the caretaker committee chairman of the local councils at the Executive Council chamber of the Government House in Port Harcourt, the state capital. The governor said the audit is intended to serve as a check for the incoming chairman and make local councils more accountable. Fubara also urged caretaker chairmen to protect the interests of their people, not to see themselves as superheroes, and to demonstrate that the government was right in appointing them. Now, as part of ongoing electoral reform, the House of Representatives is expected to commence debate on the general principle of a bill seeking to make the Court of Appeal the final arbiter for governorship, National Assembly, and State House of Assembly. The State House of Assembly election disputes on resumption from the salary recess. The private member bill was sponsored by Nnamdi Kanu. The proposed legislation seeks to alter the provision of Section 246 and 1999 Constitution as amended. Now, stakeholders from the 6 states of the Niger Delta region and ex-militant leaders have commended President Bola Tinubu, the Group Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Malik Kyari, and the Olu of Warri Kingdom, Ogiame Atuwase III, for securing oil and gas infrastructure and war against oil theft in the region. The stakeholders, who made the recommendation during a crucial meeting of members of the Pipeline Protection Task Force, said despite inheriting a shabby economy and poorly managed oil and gas infrastructure, the president has harnessed the various security apparatus, the NNPCL, the Federal Ministry of Petroleum Resources, and others to achieve victories against oil theft and pipeline vandalism. Mali's civilian Prime Minister Choguel Kokola Maiga has endorsed a document sharply criticizing the country's military rulers. The endorsement has led to the imprisonment of his close ally, Boubacar Traoré, who was arrested on May 28 after signing the critical statement. In a video message recorded on Tuesday, Prime Minister Maiga defended Traoré's asserting that there is no justification in the memorandum for his detention. Maiga stressed that the memorandum's points do not warrant Traoré's imprisonment. And in Central Africa, in a tragic turn of events, a massive fire erupted at a military ammunition depot in N'Djamena, the capital of Chad, late Tuesday night, claiming the lives of at least 9 individuals and left dozens more wounded. The blaze ignited a series of powerful explosions, lighting up the night sky and causing shockwaves that were felt miles away. We move on now to South Africa. South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa has been sworn in for a second time in office as president, despite failing to secure a majority in parliament for his African National Congress in last month's elections. Lawmakers re-elected him to stay as president last week following a deal to form a coalition government between the ANC, its longtime rival Democratic Alliance, and other parties. The ANC, which has governed since the end of apartheid in 1994, lost its majority for the first time after the 29 May election produced no outright winner. And that's all on Breakfast Headlines. Back to Osa and Olive.
Very much. Interesting stories there. I'm going to, have a quick conversation about the incident. It wasn't an incident, but from President Cyril Ramaphosa's swearing in yesterday. I'm sure everyone got to see the video of Nigeria's president, Bola Tinubu, and what they alleged happened. That he was ignored by President Ramaphosa. What are your thoughts? If you got to see that video, did you find anything wrong with it?
Well, I saw the video, but then again, just this morning, I saw another video. Now, Osas and Olive, what we didn't know is that they had earlier already shaken hands. There's a video that will make plenty of rounds today, and if you're patient enough, you'd find that from earlier, he had already shaken hands with Ramaphosa, went over to the back and let him shake the hands of the other dignitaries in front of him. So it wasn't a case of him being ignored, it was just the misrepresentation by the media once again.
Yeah, and it's the same thing that I said. I did respond when I saw the tweet yesterday on Twitter, and I said, pretty much the same thing, that he wasn't ignored. The video that they, claimed, was the one that, he was ignored at. I mean, he was in the second row, and you can see clearly that President Ramaphosa was only shaking hands with the people in the front row.
Yeah.
So it's not like he was ignored. The DR Congo president, Philip Shu, was also on the same row with President Bola Tinubu, and President Ramaphosa didn't shake hands with anybody on that row. So it wasn't a direct slight at Nigeria's president. So, but of course, social media, it's propaganda, and that's what was trending yesterday. The Nigerian president was ignored. And then they also, were saying that, it's also an insult to put the Nigerian president in the second row. He should be in front, which they might have a point there, because, I mean, but I don't know much, about, sitting arrangements in occasions like that. There might be something to do with that. But still, I mean, it just felt like a lot of propaganda from just that one video that didn't paint the whole picture of what happened yesterday.
If you'd agree with me, especially Olive, that was just a class in perspectives. We see it all the time. We talk about it all the time, but that was an evident class in perspectives there. One person's view is totally different from another person, or one camera's capture is totally different from another person. Well, at least one thing we have to congratulate ourselves is that our president is not like Donald Trump, because he would have shoved his way into the front and grabbed Ramaphosa's hand and maybe, make it very obvious that I'm getting shaken by the new South African president. Must mean I'm important. Yeah, but hey,
I don't mind if I
his
had
mannerisms were okay. Let's give him a good scorecard at least on this one.
Yeah, it's just different personalities. It doesn't make him a good or a bad president. It's just his personality. Donald Trump wants to be in your face all the time. And that's who he is. It doesn't make him a bad president. If we had a little bit of him, in Nigeria for the last couple of years, we maybe would have had a more progressive country by now. If we have a president who's very, very in your face, who has a very, very strong personality, who's very loud-mouthed, but makes things work, I don't mind. I really do not mind. Say all the things you want to see. Say that again.
I said be careful what you wish for.
I really don't mind.
Very careful.
I really don't mind. Olive?
Well, we wish them all the best. President Bola Tinubu doesn't seem to have taken any offense with all that happened, and I can understand the passion and the agitation of Nigerians, but I'm sure that they are good. I don't think that they've made anything out of it.
Absolutely.
But then let's talk to you much later, Mazino. Thank you very much.
All right. Now let's get back into it and share with you. Of course, take a short break. When we come back, we're going into our top stories on Breakfast Central. Welcome once again. The leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, has agreed to seek an out-of-court settlement over charges tendered against him bordering on terrorism and treasonable felony. The lead counsel to Nnamdi Kanu, Aloy Ejimako, informed the Federal High Court in Abuja as the trial of Kanu resumed in the capital city. Marvelous Obomano tells us more.
The trial of the leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, took a different turn during the resumed hearing in Abuja. Counsel to Kanu informed the court of a possible discussion with the federal government to settle out of court. He said he had informed the federal government's counsel, Awolowo Adeboyiga, about the plan. However, reacting to the development, the prosecution counsel noted that it is not in his position to negotiate a settlement and urged the defense team to approach the Attorney General of the Federation for further discussion. Other interested parties in the case also threw their weight behind the decision by Kanu, calling on government to reconsider its position on the case and give room for national reconciliation.
Recently, we saw a situation where the Attorney General of the Federation took steps under Section 174 of the Constitution, which is very similar to Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act. He took that position to discontinue the prosecution of two very high-profile cases in this country. The first one concerning Wole, Yele, Showore, and the second one concerning Ijaw of Mieteala. So these things are not unusual. So if they do occur as a conversation in open court, it's just as a matter of course. So people might wonder why such a situation should not apply to Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, and that is what played out in court today.
We can't go home most of the times. There's insecurity everywhere. People are being killed. Businesses are affected. Foreign remittance to our place is going down because people are leaving those rural areas. There is a matter of public interest and national interest that government considers this option provided under Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act and Section 174. And the ball is now in the court of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu government. As somebody who wants to renew interest, it's time to renew interest in the Southeast by opening the gate and let Mazin Nnamdi Kanu go home. And let's now open the conversation for addressing the challenges that led to this issue.
After ruling on other applications from Kanu's lawyers, Justice Binta Nyako urged both parties to meet and revert back to court. Section 17 of the Federal High Court Act and Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution permits reconciliation. It is believed that it's based on this section of the Constitution that the Attorney General of the Federation invoked his powers to discontinue and end the trial of Sowore. And now many Nnamdi Kanu supporters will be hoping that this kind of arrangement be done for him. In Abuja, for News Central, Marvelous.
Thank you very much, Marvelous Opomanu, for that update. We have been following the conversation with Mazin Nnamdi Kanu. And for the longest time, we know about how he's, unfortunately, has been detained. And, there are conversations now as to his release. I mean, not like the government has said anything, but his lawyer has said that they're open to having negotiations outside of court. Mazin Nnamdi Kanu has said that he's not the one initiating it, as he's not the one who kidnapped himself, according to him, in the words he used. He said they're the ones who detained him, and he doesn't know why exactly they have still kept him detained. So if they want to have a conversation about it, that's something he's certainly open to. I think that the federal government should actually look at having that kind of conversation, because for the longest time, questions have been asked as to why exactly is this man still being detained, even after several court rulings about letting him go. The excuse being that he jumped bail, even after he provided sufficient evidence that he was attacked and his life was under threat. So I want to believe that there are a number of people who will be excited to see that the federal government and Nnamdi Kanu find an amicable way to resolve the crisis or the issues that have existed between them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm happy rather that at least that part of the Constitution exists. That. There's a possibility to seek, settlement out of court, and also that Justice Binta Nyako, did give a go-ahead, for the prosecution and the defense to meet, and decide and get back to her. I'm hoping that they would be able to have a favorable conversation, because at this point, this is no longer seeming like a court case that is based on, the facts of the case and based on the actual Criminal Justice Act. It is obviously now more of a political case. If you follow the trajectory right from when he was arrested to when, of course, his place was attacked, in his hometown, and he had to flee, to when he was eventually captured, I believe, in Kenya, and brought back to Nigeria. And then the way that the case has also taken shape since then, you can almost tell that this is more of politics being played. But, the House of Rep member there, Chinyere, made a statement that I thought was interesting, where he said that the Southeast, is not most conducive for people to live in, because of this insecurity challenges, which I feel is not necessarily a good way to defend Nnamdi Kanu, because he's saying that in defense of Nnamdi Kanu, so that, the federal government should go ahead and release him so that there will be calm in the Southeast. But I feel like that doesn't tell well of Nnamdi Kanu and the people supporting him, because what you're saying then is that the person that the federal government is accusing of treason and terrorism charges and all of that truly does have people behind him or his followers who are causing mayhem and insecurity challenges in the Southeast. And the only way to reduce that mayhem is to let this man go, which is not a good thing to say. Regardless of how true or untrue it is, it doesn't speak in Nnamdi Kanu's favor, in my opinion. There's no way that any man or any person should hold the federal government to ransom. You know, that if you don't release me, there will continue chaos in different parts of... That is not... nobody wants to hear that.
I mean, we must mention that Nnamdi Kanu has dissociated himself from the killings happening in the southeast over
Which he should.
And I'm going to actually even read what he said. I'm going to quote him. He says, in a conversation with his lawyers, who pointed out to him that he needed to speak up to stop the killings, Kanu said, I condemn any manner of killing. Every manner of killing I condemn in its entirety. I want people to understand that IPOB was founded on a non-violent principle, and we maintain that up till this very day, some of these soldiers we are told are also our people, and the families are now in mourning. All the making of young widows is condemned in its entirety. I don't want it. I don't want anybody to die. He goes ahead to talk about how, you know, he's fighting for freedom. We've suffered a lot in Africa, and, you know, this is not to add things, you know, we've suffered from slavery, and just detailing and chronicling the journey that Africans have been through, and not to add salt to injury.
I mean, so that's his perspective. I'm just reacting to Ugochinyeri's statements there. You know, as his reason for calling for this.
And I get you. I only mentioned that so that we can then, you know, just be reminded that. Yeah,
he has denounced those
killings. He has
denounced
it. He's not applauding it. He's not associating himself with the killings.
It's probably also important to you know, bring in the Simon Ekpa, you know, perspective into all of this.
Yeah.
You know, because while Nnamdi Kanu might have one perspective with regards to violence, Simon Ekpa, on the other hand, who currently lives in Finland. According to what we know, seems to be encouraging more and more violence and celebrating every single time that there's been violence in the southeast. You know, so I believe that it is important that they have that conversation. You know, let the federal government at this point, it's a new administration. This is not the Buhari administration. You know, it's a Tinubu administration. I'm going to expect that they would be more lenient, or at least be more open to having conversations with some of these people, Nnamdi Kanu, you know, inclusive. Of course, you know, Omoyele Sowore was also mentioned. You know, of course, seeing the way that his own court case has turned out, he's, you know, more or less a free man now. And so they should have that conversation. Nnamdi Kanu also has a major role to play, I believe, you know, as a sort of leader of people in the Southeast. He does have a role to play, maybe not necessarily political, but I feel like there has to be some readjustment or realignment with the role that he's playing with leading people in the Southeast, you know, and encouraging, you know, more people in the Southeast to somehow, some way, get involved with building the Southeast. But we'll see how things turn out. I would love to report that story that says that they have had an out-of-court settlement, and he's free to go home.
The prosecutor for Nnamdi Kanu's case, or the prosecutor for the government, has said that it's not within his power to be able to ensure that there's an out-of-court settlement, and has directed them to the Attorney General of the Federation. So we're waiting to hear from feedback. We're waiting to hear feedback from the Attorney General of the Federation, but also to mention that Nnamdi Kanu had complained, you know, through his lawyers, that the space that they were given was some form of bogged space by the DSS, and as such, they do not feel free to have conversations when they're together. And of course, we know that the lawyers and the clients
the
should have...
DSS is still representative of the federal government, so you know, I mean, when they're talking about having an out-of-court settlement, it's between the prosecuting team and the defense, you know, of course, which means that the federal government, who is, you know, the one, you know, charging him to court, and, you know, his lawyer. So the DSS can bog as much as they want to bog. You know,
no, she has said that they should not. She has ordered them to provide an unbogged space.
No, my point is, whatever conversation that they want to have, you know, it's not. I don't think it's going to be conversation that the Nigerian security agencies will not be aware of.
The Nnamdi Kanu and his lawyers. That's what they complain about. No, not Nnamdi Kanu.
Okay.
All right. But we'll be bringing updates on that as we receive it. Waiting for the verdict of the Attorney General of the Federation. But let's move away from the conversation about Nnamdi Kanu to some political drama in Edo State. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, Edo State chapter has announced the expulsion of former Deputy Governor Philip Shu from the party, citing anti-party activities. Shu was the deputy to Governor Godwin Obaseki before his impeachment for allegedly leaking classified government documents, among other allegations.
Now, this comes after Shu declared his support for the opposition, the All Progressive candidate Monday Okpebholo, in the upcoming September 21st governorship election in Edo State. Speaking at the 2024 Father's Day celebration at St. Paul's Catholic Church in Benin City, he stressed that his support for the opposition is not anti-party, adding that Governor Obaseki in the last election was partly PDP and Labour Party. These are mostly just, you know, more developments to the drama as the Edo State governorship election, unfolds. I'm sure everybody definitely found it a little shocking hearing
Very.
the support of Philip Shu for the APC's candidate, and I think.
But then, if the first thing that came to my mind when I saw this story was, yes, people were shocked that he was supporting an APC candidate. This is not the first time we've seen this. We saw this at the federal level. We saw this with Nyesom Wike when he, threw his support behind the APC during the elections in his state, in Rivers State, and now he's working with the APC. And everybody then accused him of anti-party activities, and everybody kept wondering, or people kept wondering, why is the PDP not taking a strong stand against Nyesom Wike? So I don't think that there's anything fundamentally different that Philip Shu is doing that hasn't been done before.
Yes, but if people called for action to be taken against Nyesom Wike,
Oh, people did?
Yeah, so if they did then, then pretty much the same thing with Philip Shu.
But he
so
has been expelled.
That's what I'm saying. So if, the PDP may be slow with taking action with Nyesom Wike, according to what the conversations have.
I don't think they're interested in
great,
taking any action.
But the point is, the expectations were that the PDP would take action against Nyesom Wike. They've definitely taken a look at both of them's political value and known which one is easy to take action on. And if it's Philip Shu, because both of them could be seen as anti-party activities for supporting the opposition candidate. So if he, of course, has been, given the hammer, then it's not because the PDP as a party has done anything out of place. They just maybe didn't do it with Nyesom Wike as many people expected. But, these are, of course, once again, just loads of developments that have, occurred in the last couple of months with regards the Edo State elections. And I'm sure a lot of people cannot wait for September 21st to come and go so that we will know exactly who will be taking our state forward. Because I'm from Edo State and I want to see who will be leading us, forward.
Are you going home for the elections?
No, I'm not.
Oh.
If it is the PDP's candidate or the APC's candidate,
or the Labour
Party candidates,
yes.
Because these are, of course, the three main contenders for the elections in Edo State, right now. And
what are your fears about the Edo State elections?
I don't have any fears.
Okay.
I don't have any fears. I don't expect that there would be, violence or anything of that sort.
Do you expect it to be free, fair, and credible?
I hope that it will be. I don't want to say. I can't have expectations. I'm not voting. I'm going to be at work. But the point is, I want it to come and go, so we can move on, and start to focus on what needs to be done to develop at those states.
And I'm hoping that what happens after the elections is not some sort of continuum with what's happening in Rivers State and some parts of the country where it feels like, because for the last 1 year, there's just been politics happening rather than governance in Edo State. It's been politicking. So I'm hoping that when the election comes, it just puts everything to rest, and it's not that we're going over the circles of course, I know that there are people who may, I don't know, there might be people who will disagree with whatever the election results decide, right? But I'm hoping that even whilst they're disagreeing and they're having court cases, that governance can now take front row and that the people of Edo State can be prioritized. Because in all of the drama that happens in Edo State, in Rivers State, even in Kano State, wherever the state is, where we're seeing all the politicking happening, it's the citizens that are at the receiving end, right? They're not being prioritized, the needs are not being prioritized, and the state is not moving forward. So I'm hoping that Edo State can move forward, that when the election happens, it is some sort of a final nail to the coffin of the drama that has been going on in the past year and a little over.
And so for me also, one thing that I know, and I mentioned this maybe a couple of months ago, is, I am particularly excited about the quality of candidates, the caliber of candidates that are running. Before the primaries, the names that were being mentioned back then, I was excited. Eventually, when all parties had their primaries, PDP and Labour Party, and of course the APC, I'm particularly excited, about the caliber of candidates. Olumide Akpata, has a very, very nice, really, really good-looking CV, and the same thing with Aswa Ighodalo. Monday Okpebolo, I don't really know very much. But the point is, I'm excited about them, and I believe that either of them that wins, to me, promises Edo State a really, really a good next 4 years. Have I been impressed by any of the governors in the last couple of years in Edo State? Not really. I believe that there's so much more that could have been achieved for Edo State. I feel like the idea of development, the idea of governance in the state is really, really poor. And so what we continue to get are crumbs, you know, and never really true development. There's so much more that could be achieved in Edo State if we have, you know, governance that truly is dedicated to developing the state. It's not just roads. It's not just, you know, fixing street lights. There's so much more that could be achieved in Edo State, in every industry in Edo State. But unfortunately, we don't have that. Anyway.
All right. We'll be talking more about Edo State as we inch closer and closer to the elections. And if you're in Edo State and you'd like to share with us what your thoughts are regarding how the elections are being prepared for, you can tweet at News Central TV. We're going to break. When we come back, there are more conversations happening this morning on Breakfast Central.
The Rivers State chapter of the All Progressives Congress, APC, has called on President Bola Tinubu to declare a state of emergency in the state. The call follows the ongoing political crisis over the tenure of the chairman of the 23 local government areas across the state. APC's Caretaker Committee chairman in Rivers State, Chief Tony Okocha, made the demand while addressing journalists on Wednesday in Port Harcourt, the state's capital.
Now, this comes as Governor Siminalayi Fubara swore in new caretaker chairman for the 23 local government areas of the state. The governor inaugurated the new caretaker chairman hours after the House of Assembly, led by factional Speaker Victor Jumbo, screened and confirmed the nominees. This morning, we're joined by Chairman, Ikwere Local Government Area, Rivers, Samuel Nwanosike. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. But before then, let's take a look at this video.
And of course, joining us now is the chairman, Ikwere Local Government Area, Rivers State, Samuel Nwanosike. Good morning. Thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to all of your viewers.
Yeah, great to have you. Interesting turn of events in Rivers State. Let's first of all get your views on how things have turned out with Governor Sim Fubara and the swearing-in that took place.
Well, it's now obvious and confirmed that the belief that we have a governor that is calm, a governor that is meek, a governor that is quiet, that is a smooth operator, is now obvious that the reverse is the case, that the governor does not have respect for the rule of law, he does not obey court orders, he does not have value for human lives. He has destroyed all the efforts past leaders have done to bring Rivers State into a peaceful and growing economy. He has destroyed all the achievements in fight against criminality and social vices, because from the actions the governor has taken, which a lot of us thought he was not going to take, it has shocked us that the governor has gone to recruit criminals from outside our state in the name of turning the political crisis between him and the members of House Assembly into an ethnic crisis. He has brought back criminals that have fled our states, who, like you know before, when they say rivers were rivers of blood. And today, we are now seeing non-state actors shooting at local government chairmen, chasing them away from their offices. And this same governor that has withheld the allocation of local government for the past 3 months in 20 local government and 1 local government 4 months for no cause, even went as far as ordering his accountant general to write to banks to bypass the signatories of elected local government chairmen 3 months ago that their funds should not be given to them, and that salaries of civil servants only should be paid, and which we thought it was a joke. And the banks obeyed, because the banks are afraid of what will happen to their business in the state. Well, we have seen what he has done, even with the current order given by the Court of Appeal, which his lawyers were party to, that all hostilities should cease, and that nobody should take steps to create the crises that have led to the loss of the life of a police officer and a vigilante chairman in Omuma local government, one of our sister local government, and crisis in brewing in all the states. As I talked to you, none of those caretaker committee chairmen you saw that took out of office were able to enter the various local government councils. Because the people are saying, we did not elect you. We want an elected council administration as enshrined in section 7.1. And moreover, if you remember that Justice Ramaphosa in January 2024, 24th of January to be precise, gave clear orders of court. Parties were in court, participated, filed papers, and made arguments. The governor of Mbara had his lawyers in court. The federal court, because section 272 guarantees the federal high court members, tenure of deputy governor and tenure of the governor. And they said in the ruling, if your media people or your studio can show to the world the judgment of Justice Ramaphosa, all the prayers are clear. Don't interfere with the activities of the Martins and Mewule led House of Assembly. They are the proper assembly. Their seats have not been declared vacant. They are going to make laws for the people of Rivers State. Even at that, they went further to say there should be no caretaker, because section 7.1 of the Constitution is clear that it must be an elected government at the third tier level. So for us, we have seen a governor who has thrown caution to win. He is interested in holding to political structures rather than to securing the lives and the properties of the people of Rivers State, which is sworn oath to do. We have seen a governor who has ignited ethnic crisis in a state. Well, I've never seen this kind of leadership, not minding that we have a state that have 7 ethnic blocks: the Ikwere, the Che, the Ibanis, the Okekas, the Ijaws, everybody. Now he has created crisis. People are not suspicious of one another. We don't know where this is going to lead us to. But as far as we are concerned, we agree with the All Progressive Congress that I think, Mr. President, if he wants to save the life of the people of Rivers State, this is the time to act. Because the police in Rivers State is overwhelmed.
Can I ask?
It's overwhelmed. And that's why we're saying that they actually have to rise now to save life.
Can I ask you what you mean? I mean, the APC has called for the president to intervene in the crisis in Rivers State. Can I ask in what capacity you want the president to intervene, and what actions will be necessary for the president to take to ensure that there's peace and calm return to Rivers State?
The president is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces. When you see a situation where security agents who are supposed to protect lives and property can't even protect themselves, what else do we do? Is to call on the man who is in charge, who this ball fox on his table, Mr. President, who swore an oath to protect the lives and the property of the entire Nigerians, to step in and create a perfect solution. We are aware that the governor does not have respect for any proper agreement or discussion he holds with anybody. In the morning, he's agreeing with you, subject A. In the afternoon, he's doing B. All in the name that he must achieve whatever he wants to achieve. But Mr. President has to act now, because if what is happening today in Rivers State continue to happen, you will start, because you cannot kill somebody's person, or you hear that this group of people are the people sent by the governor to come and shoot at people and your person dies, and you go happy. People must want to take their pound of flesh, and from there the crisis will be escalating. So the call by the APC state chairman is very, very necessary, and it's a welcome call, and we think it will help to save the lives and the property of the people of Rivers State. Why the judiciary will step in? The judiciary is very key. But the question we're asking, sorry, before you ask a further question, why is the judiciary, both the MDA and the Nigerian Bar, the National Judicial Council, quiet in Rivers State? In Kanu, that the crisis didn't even get to this level, they were quick to call the CJ of the state to order and all his judges.
All right.
Today, in Rivers State, the governor has decided not to obey court orders, rather he's going shopping for orders, interim injunctions to perpetuate evil.
All right.
How can you have a 3-man assembly?
Kindly hold on.
Membership? How?
All right. I think your views have been clear there. We also have, Opunabo Inkotaria joining us this morning. Mr. Inkotaria, can you hear us clearly?
Yes, good morning. I can hear you.
All right, welcome. Please go ahead. I'm not sure if you've been following, but go ahead. Mr. Samuel Wanosike has made his points clear with regards to what's going on in Rivers State. He agrees with the APC's call for a state of emergency. And of course, he says that the governor has been, somehow, some way, one of the reasons behind the violence, in the state so far. Do you agree? And do you also agree with the call for a state of emergency?
I didn't get the first part, but I got that on the state of emergency.
Yeah.
Should I start with that?
Yes, please.
Okay. I think it is free-flamboury, completely, I call it intellectual anemia or mental constipation for anybody to talk of a state of emergency in Rivers State. Yes, we had crisis, I think, 2 days ago, no doubt about that. And the crisis was orchestrated by those who are now calling for the state of emergency in Rivers State, simply because they want the governor out. Since they couldn't get him out through the courts, they want him out through the back door. And that's why they are calling for a state of emergency in the state. Why will you call for a state of emergency? While I will not commend or appreciate the death of any single soul, whether a policeman, vigilante, or anybody whatsoever, considering the priceless nature of life, I mean, this is something that has happened in so many other states. And this is not the first time we're having this in Rivers State. Even in the last administration, under the FCT minister, people died. Even during the elections, a lot of people died. The station carried it. Why didn't they call for a state of emergency at that point in time? Why will you call for a state of emergency right now? So I think that is misplaced, and I think it is born out of bad faith for the call for the state of emergency in Rivers State. It has not gotten to that whatsoever. There is no law and order has not broken down. It is only when law and order has broken down and the governor of a state can no longer control the state that you now call for a state of emergency.
Yeah.
We have not gotten to that point yet.
Yeah. So you don't think that you don't think the violence that has been reported, because according to Mr. Wanosike, he says rather that the current local government chairmen that have been sworn in can't even go to their offices, or rather the caretaker chairmen that have been sworn in can't even go to their offices, because of the violence that is currently going on in the state. Are you saying that is false?
No, it is reported that some of them can't access their offices. No doubt about that. That is not in doubt. And that they cannot access their office because there are relentless efforts to stymie all efforts by the governor to ensure smooth governance in Rivers State. And why is it that they can't have access? It's not as if they are being blocked by thugs. It's not as if they are being blocked they are blocked by the police, prevented by the police from having access. And who is the police working for? That's the question you should ask yourself. The police is the federal police. We don't have state police yet. So who is the police working for that they can't have access? So the police is taking orders. Otherwise, why would the chief security of the state, chief security officer of the state, order swearing caretaker chairman and order them to go to the office, and you have the police preventing them? Is the police countering the order of the governor? The governor is the chief security officer of the state. So why will you prevent them from entering their offices? That is a question that everybody should ask. So that will tell you that the police have been acting on instructions from biased parties.
Mr. Wanosike, you've heard what Opunabo Nkotaria has said, and especially regarding how the police has interpreted all of this. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I want to say clearly, it's like our elder brother, Mr. Opunabo Nkotaria does not live in Rivers State at this moment. Probably he's on a holiday outside Rivers State. Because his own local government, where he comes from, non-state actors have chased away everybody in the council, and the videos are trending. They are trending in all your social media platforms. Your reporters have records of it. As we speak, non-state actors have chased away everybody in the local government where he comes from. Both the Kenya Committee chairman and the elected local government chairman initially 2 days ago was beaten up and sent out of the office by these non-state actors, not known by any law. They are not police, they are not civil defense, they are just bearing arms in his own local government where he comes from. So I'll start with that. And again, if he's saying that the police is working for whoever he accused the police is working for, How come the ADC to the governor and the governor's chief of staff, Mr. Edison here, who is from Outer East local government, is going around with aides of the governor, security aides, policemen, with GPMGs and other light weapons, shooting at people in the various local government, breaking local government councils, even at the will of the night. The videos are out there, making statements and saying we have taken over. People are running for their lives. People, in fact, the reported death that is being reported is just the official one. The ones that are not reported will soon be reported. So if the likes of Opunabo Kotara will come to the public to deceive Rivers people, evidences are online. The reporters have evidences are online. He can't contradict those evidence. Even the IG through the first PRO has released a statement on that. And investigations are now on. So the era of coming to tell people right when they're heading left has gone. We understand Opunabo's pain. Like you addressed him. He's the former head of Governor Ezeomoye Sowike. So that Governor Ezeomoye Sowike released him of his appointment is an injury that is refusing to heal. We understand. But that will not allow Rivers State burn down. Opunabo Korea's personal interest has nothing to do with the people of the Korean local government.
Mr. Wanosike. All right, it would seem that the audio has disconnected, and we're hoping that you can come back to speak more about it. Opunabo, he's talked about the videos that have made way to social media. He's talked about the violence that has erupted and the evidence, it would seem.
And expect people to obey your own orders.
All right, please go ahead.
Please, I'm straining my ears.
Mr. Wanosike, you were speaking. We lost, we disconnected.
Yes.
We got disconnected.
So like I was saying, if my uncle, Mr. Opunabo, will allow the injury in his heart to heal over the way he was leaving his appointment when he was working with Ezeomoye Sowike as his media aide, then he will be able to come out clear as a leader who wants peace in Rivers State. Because if this crisis continues, him too has price to pay for the crisis. Because the crisis will not go only on one direction. Today, it might be sounding good to his ears. With his newfound friend, the Governor Sinala Ekubara, who he made no contribution to bring to power, who he made, in fact, he even criticized him when he was first given the opportunity to run our party ticket. Now is his friend, no problem in his politics. But what we're saying is that now you're the governor. Govern us with the rule of law. Govern us with the rule of law. Govern us in obedience to the constitution you swore to. All our governor we are seeing today is doing is creating crisis, burning down places. Look at what happened in our state house of assembly.
All right.
The same chief of staff to the governor and his cohort burnt down the assembly, which has never happened before. What did the governor do? Just to kill the evidence, he put in bulldozers, put down the assembly, and forgetting that evidences are already taken before he put down the assembly.
All right, Mr. Wanosike.
And we know that the Court of Common Division will follow up the matters.
Yeah, Mr. Wanosike, kindly hold on.
Nigerians will know the truth.
Yeah, kindly hold on. We're going to come back to you, so you can also speak on the swearing in of these, chairmen. And of course, I remember that you also mentioned that you would not leave Ikwere local government area, after your term expires. So we're going to have you speak on that in a bit. Opunabo Inkotaria, right of response, I believe you have. Would you like to quickly respond, if your views are coming because your heart isn't healed? From the previous administration and your relationship with former Governor Nyesom Wike?
First and foremost, it's a big lie. But someone knows too well that I resigned because I resigned for personal reasons. It really had nothing to do with official, and it really had not. In fact, it was because of the lifestyle of the FCT minister. It was for personal reasons that I resigned. He knows too well. He's quite aware. He was the local government chairman then. Then, having said that, I also voted and campaigned for Sim Fubara. Sim Fubara has been my long-time friend. So the world will even tell you that, yes, I campaigned and I voted for Sim Fubara. In fact, you have media reports on that. There are enough media reports to bolster my assertion. So I don't even want to go into that. And we should not try to personalize issues. Cyril himself was the one who threatened that he was not going to leave office at the expiration of his tenure. He was one of those who said he...
All right.
He will need to come and take him out of office of peace in Rivers State. My dear, I can tell you that it is being orchestrated. Your tenure elapsed by the friction of time 12 midnight. We have decided cases, apart from Justice Q, who nullified the law, this purported House of Assembly law passed by the 27 or 25 lawmakers, or supposed lawmakers, let me put it that way. Aside from that, you have this subsidiary Supreme Court judgment, and unless the Supreme Court reverses itself, in the case of Attorney General of Abia State, 25 others versus Attorney General of the Federation. Aside from that, you also have that of the Constitution, which he rightly quoted. You cannot elongate the tenure of sitting local government chairmen. You cannot. And if today you are questioning the issue of the caretaker committee, I am one man that will never believe in caretaker committees. I don't believe in that. But given the circumstances, you are talking on necessitarianism here. Especially when persons will tell you they will never leave office, they'll never do. But let us even say that you are not happy with the appointment of caretaker committees. What are you supposed to do? To go to court. That does not in any way justify your allegation whatsoever. Because that House of Assembly you're talking about has been invalidated by the High Court. And the Supreme Court has already said that you cannot, nobody can elongate your term. You can come up with a new law that will prescribe new tenures for local government chairmen, but not that before they are sworn in, but not when they are sworn in, not after when they've been sworn in. You can't do that.
All right.
And any law that is consistent with the provisions of the Constitution, to the extent of that inconsistency, is null and void. He knows too. We all know this. Okay. So if today the governor is saying he has appointed his caretaker committee chairman, and don't forget, you already have a timetable. Today, the chairman of the SEC chairman is inviting the media, inviting stakeholders to.
Okay, Mr. Inkotaria.
Meeting. That's today.
All right, Mr. Inkotaria, would like to. I'm sure that there are other conversations that we hopefully can be able to chip in before we wrap up. I'd like you to react to the stories or the talks about violence bringing out in different parts of Rivers State. I'm sure you saw the video of the youths pulling down the statue of former Governor Nyesom Wike. And do you not think that this is something to be worried about? You talked about how
oh God, what did you say?
I said I'm sure you've seen the videos that have made way to social media, the videos of the protests, the young people protesting, the videos of former Governor Nyesom Wike's statue being pulled down. I want your reaction to the thoughts on the seeming pockets of violence that have erupted in different parts of the state, and if this is not something that brings, that is a cause for concern to you.
It's a referendum on the people's disapproval of dictatorship, let me put it that way, or the pestilence of godfatherism. You see, people are only reacting. I am not going to prove that. I am not going to, how will I put it? Let me say, recommend violence of any sort. Definitely, I'm not going to do that. But the fact is, when certain persons are pushed to the wall, they bounce back with the double effort. And when that happens, it is very difficult to control. Just like what you have in United States between Donald Trump and Biden. That is what I just played out. I am not going to say what they did, violence is right. No matter the second, you have the law courts where you can resolve issues. But a situation where what led to this violence? What incited it? Local government chairmen said they are not going to leave office. And the people are saying, no, your tenure has expired. The violence did not predate the expiration of their tenure. It was on that day their tenure expired and they said they are not going to leave office that the people reacted to say, no, you must leave office. That was what led to it. And in situations like that, anything could happen. Anything could happen.
All right. What
Inkotaria to do in time is to come and maintain peace and order.
Yeah,
that's what they should do. Peace and order.
So we can.
The police don't have the right to prevent anybody from accessing the council. And he talked of my local government council. The fact is, the citizen's chairman is in the council. That I can authoritatively tell you that this local government, the Asaga citizen chairman, is right there in his office. He has not been prevented from entering his office. That's not true. That's mendacious. He has not been prevented.
All right.
It's
Let's
raining.
quickly give Mr. Wanosike an opportunity to also speak and respond. You know, you said that you would not be leaving office after your tenure expires on the 17th. So where do you currently stand? Do you still see yourself as the chairman of Ikwerre local government area, or would you recognize the new, appointed caretaker chairman? Where would you place yourself currently, Mr. Wanosike?
If going back, what our brother has now agreed that his governor, our governor, have decided to break the laws of Nigeria. I started this statement by reminding your studio, and I pleaded that Justice Omotosho's judgment of 24th of January 2024 should be shown to the public so that people will know the truth. A judgment of court that the governor has not appealed. The governor decided not to appeal it because he believed that if he goes to appeal, it will fail. The court says Martin Samewule has the right to sit anywhere, even if on the road, with his members and his maids. That is the recognized assembly. Because by force of yours, you pull down the assembly complex where they sit. That judgment of court is still the albatross on their neck. Opunabo is aware that there is no hiding from the truth. Well, the will of justice grinds slowly, but we shall surely get there. Now, you avoid appealing a matter that says don't form caretaker. Recognize every law made by Martin Samewule. You obeyed. You set names of commissioners for swearing into that assembly. You sent correspondence. They made laws. You wrote them back. You said you will not sign. They vetoed you because you wanted a situation to create crisis. You said, okay, the former man who you said was speaker, these are 4 people that were suspended on the day the crisis broke up in October 2023. 4 persons were suspended as assembly members. Edison Ehi of Ahoda East, Good Hope Sokare of Ahoda West, Okojombo of Boni local government, and the man from people of Koro, which is the governor's assembly member. They were all suspended. And Edison Ehi, the leader of the house then, was impeached on the floor of the house before even the crisis broke up. Before you talk about defection. Defection came on subsequent sitting. The issue of defection that has not been cleared by court, which I don't want to talk because it's subjudice. Now, at the end of the day, this matter is before the court. A man that has been suspended as an assembly member will not wake up the next day and say, no, I'm the speaker. I'm not the speaker. And court said no. You can't also send budget to that former assembly that go and represent the budget to the Samewule-led assembly. Let Okolopunabo Kotara tell Nigerians that the governor has appealed that judgment, and appeal has set aside that Omotosho's judgment. Having said so, how come the governor will come to Rivers State Court and he goes to shop for interim injunction to get an interim injunction that does not even recognize Okojombo and say the injunction says the seat of Martin Samewule has been declared vacant so that a new assembly should be instituted inside government house? That he has given an executive order, the assembly should come up. Okay, now loud in the democracy, assembly does not exist because the governor says it. Assembly exists because
We seem to be having issues with the connection there with Samuel Wanosike. Of course, as we x-ray the political crisis in Rivers State this morning, we hope that we can reconnect with him. We also have Opunabo Kotara, who's joined us to share his views on the situation. Mr. Wanosike, can you hear us now?
Yes, I'm back. Yes, I'm back.
All right, so quickly before you go on, I want you didn't get to answer my question. I'm asking.
I want to answer the question now. I want to answer your question now. My question is, because Justice Omotosho said that every law made by the Martin Samewule-led administration is valid, and because Justice Bassam of the Rivers State High Court has also confirmed that every law made by the Rivers State Assembly, because the people that came to court from the governor's angle could not prove that these people defected either to APC or they have left PDP. Because both the PDP and APC have 5 documents to say PDP, they are still our members, they have not left our party, they're still in our register. APC said they have not joined us yet. We will not continue this question, they are coming. So that he is saying that their seats are not vacant, they are still assembly members, and all laws made by them is valid. Based on that, I am still the chairman of the Ikwerre Local Government Council. I have stayed, based on the 6-month extension given to me, I have 5 months and 28 days to remain in office. Until a court of competent jurisdiction, like the Court of Appeal sitting today, comes to say who is the authentic assembly and who is the authentic assembly. And which I think a few days from now, it will be sorted out. But let me also put it on point. A governor who swore an oath to uphold the Constitution of Nigeria, whether the law is right or wrong, should appeal it. Justice Omotosho's judgment and all the ruling is why I am still in office. If that is vacated, I will leave office.
Would you be going to Ikwerre local government office, to of course take over your office from the current caretaker chairman?
I have been in the office. I was in the office yesterday. The police refused me entrance, saying that they don't have approval for anybody to enter the council. I said, okay, no problem. I can't fight the law. Police is those that will implement the laws of Nigeria as being given. So me and my colleagues are law-abiding. We will wait until the Court of Competent Jurisdiction gives the proper position. And that's where we are.
All right. And would have Mr. Opunabo Inko-Tariah also react to this, talking about his refusal to leave, stating that he is indeed the legitimate local government chairman, pending when the Court of Competent Jurisdiction. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay. First and foremost, he said the governor oathed to uphold the provisions of the Constitution. And what did the Constitution say about the tenure of local government chairman? 3 years. Let us even assume, without conceding, that the House of Assembly has a right, or the 27 members or 25 members are still valid, or the contentious, their membership is not even in contention, and they are still valid members of the House. Provided that law made by the Assembly is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution, to that extent of inconsistency, it is null and void. That is number one. Number two, I don't even want to talk about the judgment of Bassam that I consider flustering and also wobbling in confusion and contradiction. I don't even want to talk about that. In one breath, you said join this party. In another breath, you're talking of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction is the fulcrum on which the adjudicating competence of a court rests. And if you say you don't have jurisdiction, then you don't have any say in that particular matter. So at best, what you said was a bitter dictum, even though it is not even allowed because he had all declined jurisdiction in that particular matter. Having said that, we go back to the issue of, I've been forgetting the other matter he raised. I've talked of the Pasha. The Omotosho's issue. You said the Omotosho's judgment is still subsisting. Okay, Omotosho's judgment is still subsisting. But he failed to make reference to the Justice Shu judgment. These are courts of co-equal jurisdiction. He did not mention the Justice Shu judgment. But he's relying on the Omotosho judgment. So in my view, we will have a clearer picture after the Court of Appeal judgment today. I mean, the whole matter, all these matters we are discussing have been subjected to the clinical prognosis of the legal law. Let the court decide. Eventually, it will definitely get to Supreme Court. And let us also wait and see if the Supreme Court will reverse itself, because it has made decisions in the past on similar matters. So let us also wait if the Supreme Court will reverse itself. Let us also wait for the appeal, because these other courts that we are talking about today are courts of co-equal jurisdiction. The only superior court will be the Court of Appeal. And it is only the judgment of the Court of Appeal that will be binding on this other puny court. These are puny courts. Only the judgment will be binding on the puny court. And the Supreme Court will be binding on the. So let's wait and see if the judgment is today.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I'm sure it's not just in Rivers State, but across the whole country, everyone is anxious to see what that judgment would be. Opunabo Inko-Tariah and Samuel Wanosike, thank you both for joining us this morning. And we'll see if we can set up further conversations in the future. Thanks for your time. All right. We, of course, pretty interesting conversation there. And of course, we'll continue to push for peace in Rivers State, which, I believe is more important at this time. We'll take a short break. When we come back, let's get into our newspapers coming up right next.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central. Now we are looking through the front pages of the papers and seeing what the stories making the headlines today are. We'll be looking into this with Chris Kende Nwandu, the founder of CKN News. It's good to have you.
It's nice to be here.
This smile is not smiling. Like, it's not really deep. What's going on? What happened?
I was just enjoying the last discussion you had. The bees.
River State is quite an interesting place to be right now.
And we are practically going to be talking about River State. So that's why I was just smiling.
I'm sure that will be what we see on the front pages of the paper. So let's get right into it. But before then, let's mention that you can call in. We want to take a few calls. The numbers to call are on your TV screen. And now let's head to our first paper this morning, this Nigerian newspaper. On the front page of this Nigerian newspaper, the big story there says 2024. Okay, let's move away from there. Cholera, Lagos issues health advisory to parents, schools, Ogun, Edo, others direct school heads to prevent spread. Nigeria's forex reserves fall to 0.26% as global reserves hit $12.3 trillion. Rivers unrest, IGP condemns killing of officers and orders investigation. And that's all that we're talking about. There's a conversation about 25 years of democracy and the conversation surrounding that. But that's all we have on this Nigeria. Let's move over to the Vanguard newspaper.
The Vanguard this morning, minimum wage, why governors and others are foot dragging. May retrench workers need bailouts to pay. Idris detaches itself from unwilling governors, awaits Labour federal government stand. Also says no agreement but alignment of interests as the OPS. Naira depreciation makes Lagos Abuja cheapest global cities for expatriates. Also cholera outbreak, federal government may declare emergency, says the NCDC DG. Edo gubernatorial PDP expels Shaibu Obi and cites anti-party activities for their expulsion. Rivers crisis, Fubara orders probe. This is also a very interesting thing. I think we should have brought this up earlier. Fubara orders probe of local government accounts. He says that there should be a probe. I think he asked the Auditor General of the state to look into the accounts of the local government in the last 3 years. Obaseki gives Edo CP 7 days to fish out killers of Uniben graduate. And also why we target assets of drug barons and traffickers, says Buba Marwa. Getting straight into it, let's start with Rivers State and the drama that has occurred there. The nomination of the 23 caretaker committee chairman, and of course, this order to probe local government accounts. We just got off, a conversation with Samuel Wanosike, who's a former local government chairman of Ikwere local government area, and he says that he still is the local government chairman of Ikwere local government, and until the court says otherwise, he still will be there. But what are your reactions to how things have turned out so far?
Yes, the Rivers debacle. And let us just get something clear. Today, people have been saying, the Court of Appeal is going to decide today on the issue. And I even had the Commissioner of Police a few days ago saying that there's going to be a decision by the Court of Appeal today, and people should just wait for about 24 hours or 48 hours to see what pans out. That was about 2 days ago. The Court of Appeal is not deciding today on the AGA crisis in Rivers State. What the Court of Appeal decided is the validity of the membership of the House. So we should get that clear, and our viewers should know that. Yep. So because there's always been this, everything will be resolved today, the Court of Appeal, no.
Well, maybe the argument would be that if the Court of Appeal then talks about the validity of these members, then that would give validity to the amendment to the local government laws that were made. So
there are two different cases. There are no two cases that are the same. The issue of tenure elongation is a different thing entirely from that. Yeah. So, and the judge is not going to give any judgment on that. So what I'm saying that today the Court of Appeal is deciding on the interlocutory injunction that be issued by two different places. One of the judges recognized the three members of this thing. While the another one said the 25 or 26 pro-Wike members should stop parading themselves as authentic members. So that is what the Court of Appeal today. So the local government or issues surrounding the local have not been talked. But let's go into the issue proper. Then when you're talking about what we are looking at personally is term elongation. And it doesn't there is nothing like that in our books. Every arm of every set of the government of federal, state, and local government have a term base. It's term based. The term base for the president is 4 years. That of the governor is 4 years. Then for the local government, 2 years. The president of Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot, at the end of his tenure, after 3 years, and now, no, he's not even giving himself, and now write to the National Assembly to extend his tenure. It's not in our books. Same with the governors. What is happening now is just be likened to what happened during Obasanjo, when we are looking at term elongation. So let us get it abundantly clear. But whether the Rivers State House of Assembly has the right to be able to tinker with the Rivers State law on local government is to be decided by this. But there's a critical, people have been talking, and we are short of history in this. Let me give you 2 classical examples. On September 1st, 2016, Nyesom Wike dissolved the 17 local government caretaker committee in Rivers State. He didn't give any reason. This is 2016. He was sworn in on the 29th of May, 2025. That means he has been running the local government with caretaker committee members. Second scenario, the most laughable one. April 18, 2019, Governor Nyesom Wike suspended 12 local government chairmen in Rivers State. Do you know their offense? They did not attend public function. And you ask yourself, can the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria suspend any governor for not attending public functions? And that is what we're talking about. So those are this kind of rascality that's been going on all this while. It is easier for people to say, oh, this governor is doing that. And I also tell you that there is nothing like caretaker committee in our constitution. Yes, it's an aberration, but that is the way it will be rolling all this while. Over 80%, if you look at the state, over 80 to 85% of the state are running caretaker committees. So that has been. So I think the gladiators in the Rivers crisis should be able to respect themselves. Because I used to ask, what you are fighting for, in whose interest is it? If it's in good interest of the people of Rivers State, then you should be able to live and be able to live. But if it's personal, for personal reasons, then you are not getting it. Good enough, the police have taken over the secretariat of to avoid any looting and the kind of things that we saw in the. But I hope this issue will be resolved as quickly as possible. But the governor has sworn in the caretaker committee members. If you are aggrieved, go to court.
And this is still pending the case between the AGF and of course.
Yes, and that's a very critical, because what the AGF is also asking for is autonomy, for the full autonomy for the local government, and financial autonomy. Not just autonomy. Autonomy is one, giving them power to do it, but financial autonomy. Because what we have now is that
the state government
we have now is that the local governments are just a branch. It's just a department in the office of the governor, and that shouldn't be, because this is a government that is closest to the people. Most of the things that you see happen in your local is supposed to be handled by local government. That small road in your village is the work of the local government. You know, it's secondary, they are taught trunk A, we are taught trunk A road, trunk B road, trunk this road. The market, registration of birth, registration of death, chieftaincy, all those issues are local government related. But what happen? The money that comes from for the local government that comes from FARC directly goes to the account of the local, and the chairman, the governor just send that 500,000 naira and give to the local government, pay your salary, and that they think that is where that is not what it should. So I totally agree with that. And let's see what the Supreme Court will decide on that.
All right. Let's still look at another headline this morning, but this time around, I want us to quickly look at another paper. And this is talking about the minimum wage. They're asking here why governors and others are foot dragging on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. It says, minimum wage, why governors, others are foot dragging. There are other stories here. Makinde approves Olakuleyin's appointment as 43rd Olubadan. Why we target assets of drug barons and traffickers? Then there's a conversation about the Rivers crisis, customs to establish stable FX rate for imports, Edo gubernatorial elections. No, we have to talk about this. PDP expels Shaibu or cites anti-party activities. Then cholera outbreak, federal government may declare emergency according to the NCDC DG. Naira depreciation makes Lagos and Abuja cheapest global cities for expatriates, according to report. Let's talk as quickly as we can on minimum wage and then PDP. PDP, because what is good, they say what is good for the goose is good for the gander, but we've seen that PDP has enforced discipline in the case of Shaibu, but not with Nyesom Wike. But hold that thought. We have a call from Kingdom, calling from the Kingdom of River State. Good morning, Kingdom. Thank you for calling.
Kingdom of River State.
Oh,
State.
We hope that you can call back and share with us what's going on there. So as quickly as we can, minimum wage is very briefly, then PDP's expelling Shaibu.
Well, the minimum wage discussion is still ongoing. On June 12th, the president said that he was going to transmit a letter to the National Assembly on what was decided. Labour came out to say, no, we didn't decide anything, Mr. President. I don't know what you're transmitting. So we're still waiting for the president to transmit the letter and see how Labour reacts. The last negotiation was pegged at 62,000 naira, which Labour has refused. The governors also came out to say that they don't agree. But the aspect that concerns me most is the aspect where the president, during his speech on June 12, was saying that Nigerians should be, what was the language he used again? That we should sacrifice. Nigerians should sacrifice. And I continue to ask, what else do you want us to sacrifice? We practically sacrifice all our blood.
Yeah.
The only thing that we may decide to sacrifice now is like Abraham did in the Bible, our children to sacrifice our children. Probably that is what it is, because you cannot ask us to continue to sacrifice when they are not making the sacrifice themselves. Yeah. Let's just look at it when you look up. They say we should tighten our belt. But our leaders are losing their own belts. What they even do is they are not even wearing trousers again. They don't tie wrapper. Because when you want to eat and you decide to tie wrapper, you want the food to really go. So they are not wearing trousers and putting on belt. Now wrapper they tie now so that they can.
It's very healthy.
Yes.
If you want to eat, you're losing.
No, but they say make you tighten your own now. So they say you should tighten their own. They want to kill you. But critically, you are saying Nigerians to tighten. You are talking about buying 2 brand new private jets for the president and vice president.
Do you want the president to die?
Must he die?
Because you want him to use for.
Then the president, when he was campaigning, saying that he was going to sell off all the fleets.
Well, that was,
some of the fleets.
That was former president.
Yeah, this current president.
Okay.
Tinubu said during the campaign that they are going to sell off some of it. It's not the former president. Forget then apart from that, the vice president just moved into a 14 billion naira house, and it was celebrated everywhere. And we continue to ask, what is this? So leadership is leadership by example. So that is on the part of this, and I hope that this issue of minimum will be resolved. Then let's go to
exactly.
To the large extent, I may agree with PDP on this. A few days ago, I saw the former deputy governor of Edo State, where he was presenting about 12 or 13 brand new SUV to the APC governorship candidate in Edo State. I'm going to look for it. It's on YouTube, brand new. And they say, oh, this is supposed to be a member of PDP. Once, irrespective of the whatever misgivings you have and rest, once you are still a member of that party, you are still a member. So there must be bring some level of party discipline. You have a right to, but you cannot be in my party. You are talking about Yes Wike. Yes, it's the same thing. Because if the issue of Yes Wike had been tackled by the PDP hierarchy, by now it wouldn't have gotten to where we are today.
Because don't you think that has set some form of a precedence for a lot of what people would refer to? I mean, anti-party activities happened before him, right? But don't you think that in the most recent time, especially because it's happened with no impunity, it has set the stage for more of such repeat incidents to occur?
It's not only in PDP. Other parties, it's happening in other parties. You saw what happened, even the former vice chairman of APC in North, is it Northeast or no, I don't know which of the North it is in, just left the party, and he has been talking vehemently against the party. So it has been, the problem we are having is that what we are having now is that we are not having serious party discipline. And because of how their leadership emerges, if you know what happened in the days of UPM, PDP, UPM, PRP, MPP, the days of Zik, and that, nobody can rear his head and look at the chairman or the party in the face. But because the governors have hijacked this system, the governors now decide who will become who will become chairman and the rest of them. And once they do that, then bodies say, because they are the one that provides the money. If you don't be able to collect them, how can the PDP national secretary go for contest for governorship in Imo State, my state of Imo, and he still retain his position as the national secretary of the? That's an aberration. You understand what I'm trying to do? So his party doesn't bet. I totally agree that if they found one in the Shuaibu, they can be suspended. Obi is the chairman. I think he used to be national chairman. I don't know whichever one he is now. He used to be the national vice chairman for PDP in the South Side. If there are areas where they say that is anti-party activities, well, it is within their constitutional right to do the right things, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Oh, unfortunately, we'll have to, end it here. I hope that someday, as a country, we will come together and have a discussion on proper valuation of federal government projects. You know, because when you hear a house was renovated for 21 billion naira, it makes you just mentally imagine what it was spent on. You know, I mean, what does it look like? How massive is this property? But you take a look at the house and you can't really tell anything here that is worth 5 billion.
I'm even sure that the house
so
that King Solomon, the temple King Solomon built, did not cost.
The one that is the VP that is presently where he was presently, what is wrong in it?
They are good at house.
That's what I'm asking. What is wrong with it?
So, but the thing is, we've developed this culture in Nigeria where every project is in billions.
Yes.
No matter how small the road construction is, it's in billions. If you hear of a 5-kilometer road, you're talking about 10 billion.
I mean, consultation alone, you don't even need to do the project. Consultation ranks in billions.
Some collect and they don't even do the job.
It is one of the.
We have an office of, I think it's the Bureau of Public, what's it now? That's supposed to evaluate all projects. There's an agency of government that was created for that. But the question you ask yourself, what is the job of those agencies?
So I think at the end of the day, all of this is just also a reflection,
public procurement. That is
a reminder that we again need and deserve leaders who can feel the pulse of the people, because Nigerians cannot be suffering the way we are suffering, gaining international embarrassment in terms of having our stories being told truthfully, because what the New York Times said was the truth, even though they come and say it's derogatory. And yet, in the same breath, we're having lavish spending. It's like, are you not seeing? What are you doing about this? And how dare you ask us to tighten our belts?
Our leaders are the most selfish and most insensitive in the world.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we need to go.
Thank you so much, Chris Kendi, for joining us. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Stay with us. We go on a short break. When we come back, we have, of course, more conversations coming your way this morning on Breakfast Central. Cyril Ramaphosa was sworn in yesterday as South Africa's president for a second term. Ramaphosa, who is the leader of South Africa's ruling African National Congress, the ANC, now faces the challenge of appointing a cabinet featuring his ANC party and coalition partners.
Numerous heads of state, including Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Angola's Joao Lourenço, Congo Brazzaville's Denis Sassou, and Eswatini's absolute leader, King Mswati III, attended the inauguration. The world will now watch as the 13th president takes the next 5 years to stitch together a government of national unity.
In the presence of everyone assembled here and in full realization of the high calling I assume as President of the Republic of South Africa, I, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, swear that I will be faithful to the Republic of South Africa and will obey, observe, uphold, and maintain the Constitution and all other law of the Republic. And I solemnly and sincerely promise that I will always promote all that will advance the Republic and oppose all that may harm it. Protect and promote the rights of all South Africans.
Well, joining us this morning is political analyst Dr. Herman Ogwamichael. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning to you.
Is it safe to say that the rainbow is out now for the Rainbow Nation, as this national government of national unity has been set up? Is this something that South Africans are excited about, or do you have concerns about President Ramaphosa's second term in office?
Let me tell you, historically, there are three government of national unity that has happened in South Africa. In 1910, after the Anglo-Boer War, because they need to avoid war and then come up with the unity government. But to that time, it has undermined the black people, excluded them. The second one is when Nelson Mandela created the new dispensation, or in democracy, dawn of democracy. That was the other government of national unity in a different context, so that the country will continue with stability. And this is the third government of national unity in which the ANC did not get the outright majority vote. It's just 40%. So there was no choice but to continue with some national stability, and they have to create a unity government, government of national unity, which also embraces the Democratic Alliance, which has a sharp difference in terms of policy with the ANC and some other smaller parties. So it's interesting times.
Very interesting. There's also, speculations as to, the names that might make, the president's cabinet. Tell us what South Africans are thinking. Are there certain people that, the President Cyril Ramaphosa might, be naming in his cabinet? And are there people that you are hopeful will get to, to be named?
There are a mixture of feelings. Some people have concerns which believe that there is now the DA, which is part of the government of national unity, and they fear that, some of the issues in the country, such as minimum wage policy that the ANC wants to advance, and there is an issue of land distribution and other issues which they believe that this may not be addressed. But definitely then there will be ministerial portfolios that will be shared. So we will see actually cabinet formed not only from the ANC, the fact that there is no outright majority, then there will be some ministerial portfolios given also to some other political parties, whether it is to the Democratic Alliance or those smaller parties that formed in the government of national unity. So there is a mixture of feelings. There are some people who believe that it's a new era, maybe there will be some differences, unemployment may be addressed, poverty, and the energy crisis or issue of electricity and other matters. But some others believe that still the inequality that has happened in this country historically may not be addressed. Rather, with this coalition, they believe that it might be reinforced. So there are some mixture of feelings in the public.
And does it concern you that the MK and the EFF do not want to be a part of this coalition or this government of national unity?
Yeah, definitely. EFF cannot compromise when it comes to some of the policies like the land redistribution without compensation, black economic empowerment, and some other issues that affect the previously disadvantaged people, which is usually the black South Africans. So the DA and EFF do not coexist. They have different ideologies, different policies that are in a sharp contrast. The same with MK also. MK or Umkhonto President Zuma seems to have some what they call tenterhooks or some sort of bitterness with the current president Cyril Ramaphosa. Remember, if I just was listening to his speech, President Zuma was saying, if I could go to prison, then there is a palla issue where, according to him, some huge money was found in the mattress of the president, the current president, so why couldn't he go to jail? So he believed that there is injustice or justice is not fairly done, in the justice system, judicial system in this country. So MK also doesn't want to go in a unity with DA. So it's a policy and ideology differences. But for ANC, there was no choice. They have to form a government. The only way was a government of national unity.
All right. Herman Ogbo Michael, thank you very much for joining us. We wish South Africa and South Africans, and of course President Ramaphosa, a very interesting second term in office. And we hope that, of course, there's loads of development that comes from it. We'll love to speak with you again. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a beautiful day ahead.
Thanks for having me. Have a nice day.
You too. Now, back here in Nigeria, there's many things that are being said by politicians, but let's share with you what Nigerians themselves are saying. That comes up right next.
I like to think about a lot of things with music, which is why I say that when I think of River State, I remember the song by Asha that says, "There is fire on the mountain and no one seems to be on the run." In this case, neither Governor Nyesom Wike, the former governor of River State, or Governor Siminalayi Fubara, as everyone is standing their ground and sort of holding fast to what they believe. Unfortunately, the people of River State are the ones who have to bear the brunt of these challenges. So many, it's been story after story, the most recent being the swearing in of the 23 caretaker local government chairman in River State. But Nigerians have been reacting to all the drama that's been unfolding in River State, including the protests, the bringing down of former Governor Nyesom Wike's statue. And here's what Nigerians are saying about this on X. The tweets that we're looking at this morning, the first one is from Nefertiti. First Ladyship says, he has lost the plot, and she's referring to Nyesom Wike here. The history of River State politics taught him nothing. Besides, there can be no two Jagaban at the same time. Having Fubara to govern with free hands will serve to checkmate the lion of Obiakpo in case he decides to bite more than he can chew. And the next tweet is from Senator Shehu Sani, who says, Haba, Rivers youth, why did you forcefully remove and smash Wike's statue? If you don't want it, you would have just gently unplugged it, wrapped it, put it in a carton and keep it in the store. And the next tweet is from beautiful Jem, who says, I hope River State youth will leave that 2 naira and stand by the truth. Your blood is not worth shedding for any politician. And I hope that Rivers youth are actually listening to that. Novi Everest says, everything Wike did to take over River State from Amechi is what Fubara is doing to take over River State from Wike. The pattern continues. River State's people are the victims. Well, I think the highlight in all of this would be that we must remember that when the two elephants are fighting, it's always the grass that suffers. And when there is issues of politicking happening, governance takes a backseat. And at the end of the day, not much is being able to be effected. We see that happen in River State. We've seen it happen in several states, in Edo State. And we're hoping that some sense of normalcy comes back to River State and that the people are prioritized. But more importantly, young people, your life is not worth whatever money, according to what they said, whatever money. But I'm hoping that the truth comes to light and Rivers finds the light again. That's all that Nigerians are saying this morning on what Nigerians are saying on X. And now we will be wrapping up the show, bringing you information about what to know about the shows and the packages that we have later on the show. We do have at 9 a.m. we have the news, and at 10 a.m. we have Jasiri. So make sure you be a part of that as well. More interesting shows. And I think it's time for us to wrap up the show.
Yes, it is. And we're going to be back again tomorrow.
What's funny? Can you explain to us what's funny?
We're going to be back again tomorrow morning on Breakfast Central. Thank you very much for joining us. We've had a very interesting Thursday morning. I am Osaogi Ogbawa.
Oh, wow, you are. I didn't know that. I am Olive Emodi, and I'll see you tomorrow.